$3.58. This is the total amount that I made from my 6 mobile games on the Google Play. I know it isn't much, it isn't glamorous, but it is the unfortunate reality. This is the reason why in this video I will share my experiences about mobile game development. Let's get started with a brief summary. My journey of mobile game development started at August of 2018. At that point, I already developed few desktop games and wanted to create and release a game for mobile platforms. So to keep things easy, I picked hyper-casual category. For those who didn't know, hyper-casual is a game genre that includes games that have very simple mechanics, very simple user interfaces, and they generally don't require any determination to learn it. After I've picked the genre, I knew that I needed a good idea. So I decided to sketch out few ideas and finally ended up with Slide Out, which is a color matching type of game. It basically has slanted colored bars dropping from the top. If the two adjacent bars have same color, then both will be destroyed. Our main objective is to survive as long as we could while swiping away bars to get rid of them. If those bars reach the top of the screen, the game will be over. The idea and implementation is simple, however creating assets and designing the overall UI is kinda challenging. And it turned out not as good as I hoped, but I thought that it was good enough to release. So after I finished developing the game, I released it on Google Play Store. And no surprise, it doesn't get any downloads. So I thought that I need to create more games so that I can get a bit more traction. In addition to that, I also thought that I needed to provide some help to game developers on Quora, so that I can get some attraction from there as well. After that, I've released my next game, which is 2 Balls, More Balls. It is a very simple ball game which has similar mechanics of the game 2 Cars. It essentially has a ball in the center that can separate into 2 balls and morph back into one. Also, the whole action was controlled on a single tap, so there was nothing complicated. Main objective of this game is to survive against the incoming walls that have slots in it. In order to pass them, you need to morph and separate accordingly. Also, the speed of incoming walls increase over time. Anyway, I released that game as well and the result is exactly the same. Nothing happens. Then I kept developing more games. I released Handicarred, which is inspired from wind blowing to my hand on a car drive. It is essentially about collecting the coins without hitting your hand to incoming objects. The screen is divided into 4 quadrants. Bottom 2 move the car left and right, top 2 move the hand left and right. Although it is very simple game, I love the 8-bit aesthetics on this one. Then I've created Longcave. It had Flappy Bird-like jumping mechanics and it took place in an infinitely long cave, hence the name. You play as a bat and try to avoid incoming fireballs and the rocks falling from above. The game is quite challenging and has nice parallax visuals, so it had more chance of success. And it actually did. This is the game that generated all of the revenue I have mentioned earlier. I guess one guy played ad for some time. So, from the motivation I got, I began developing 2 other games. First one is Stakrot. This is a rotation-based stacking game. It has rotating cube in the middle and the square blocks come from various angles and stick to the cube. If one of the cubes reach the edge of the screen, the game is over. So main objective is to get rid of stacks by rotating and matching the color of the blocks. As you may already noticed, this is not a very simple game to implement. It took around 2 months to develop this game and resolve every bug. Moving on, I created the game Prismity. And in my opinion, from all of the games that I have made, this one has the best visuals and I like it the most. If you agree with that, hit the like button. Anyways, this game is a color and shape matching game. It has incoming prisms from above and the objective is to morph the platform in order to match with the shape. I have learned many things by developing that game, but unfortunately it turned out as a failure as well. Now, let's make the analysis. What went wrong? What was the problem? To find it out, we need to make observations on few different perspectives, starting off with the development and the game design perspective. As you may have already noticed that all of my games have similarities. For example, many of them include color matching or collision-based mechanic, and this is the first issue. There aren't enough alternatives for players to choose from. Also, all of my games lack level-based gameplay. They are all based on achieving the highest score, and that gets boring really quickly. And those aspects actually emphasize the fact that game development is very different from the game design. If you are a good game developer without proper game design, the game probably doesn't turn out to be good. Now we can look another perspective, which is marketing. And that is really important aspect as well. For marketing, I heavily rely answers on Quora and sometimes few posts on Reddit. They both aren't very helpful to get some traffic. On Quora, I answered around 100 questions and got around 40,000 views. Although this number seems really good, the conversion rates are terrible. Because in my answers, I put my game links very subtle, not like in your face. Same goes for the Reddit as well. Also, at the time, I decided to run few ads on Instagram, but I hardly see any results, so I pulled the plug on them after a few days. So, my whole marketing experience turns out to be a very important lesson. Even if you made a decent game, without proper marketing, it won't be that successful. In my case, I made kinda mediocre games with poor marketing, so it is no surprise that they aren't successful. As for myself, I will continue with my game development journey for sure. But in the future, I think that I will focus more on making desk-type games. In the end, I hope you've liked this video and learned a few things from my mistakes. If that is the case, please make sure to hit the like button and consider subscribing. See you next time. Take care.